Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Undefeated Locals. It's the boy, Marvin. Edgar's not with me, but you already see somebody else on screen. It's Gizmo, Seamus, my number one team member, my son. Here to talk to you today about all of his testing at Nationals and his upcoming trip, and how he's going to get to top 8 and sneak into Worlds. How are we doing today, Gizmo?
Good, man. How about yourself today?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's, late, a little bit later for you, a little bit earlier for me, but good day so far. Always love talking about UniVersus. You already see it on the screen. We're going to talk about what Gizmo expects to be the top 5. This bastard gave me 6 characters to see and playtest for Nationals. We're going to be doing this with a few of our team members. Cool thing about these videos is that these are all other content creators. So in our team, we have quite a few content creators that aren't just me and Edgar, the ones that you always see on the screen. We're going to be trying to, high tides raise all ships sort of thing. Get everybody in on these videos, get their links sent out. So make sure you go follow him on Twitch in the link below as he gets into these top 6 characters to test into at Nats. Let's start from the bottom up. We got Erwin Smith. Tell me about Erwin.
So the reason I picked Erwin is because I think he's personally a better control deck than Ghidorah. He actually progresses the game state, whereas Ghidorah kind of grinds out the game, maybe sneaks a game 1 and then turtles.
Yeah, for
game
sure.
2.
Erwin has both defense and extreme offense, right?
Yes, exactly. And he gets to play the game similar to Eraserhead, where every move has -2 speed minimum. And if you start seeing the shrewd observations, that game plan becomes better and better and better the longer the game goes. And if you don't have a symbol that has board interaction, you have a very, very tough uphill battle to get through, because Erwin can also play that turtle style until he's sculpted 6 good cards to kill you. He might not have Risky anymore, but he still has the rest of the death package that can still just be a monster to play through.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Death Casino is still out there. People, kind of set it down because of Risky, but we didn't lose, anything else, right? He was never reliant on, Twisting Azure Inferno. He still has combined firepower, both offensively and defensively, to, block with. Yeah, that package is still extremely relevant.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that package can lead us directly into your next pick, Han Zoe. I feel this is probably similar reasons, right? Extreme aggression.
Extreme aggression, and she doesn't need her board. She is allowed to also play everything from her hand on turn 1 if she's on the play, and then rip it up on turn 2.
For sure, because of the damage reduction. Yeah, damage reduction is extremely relevant in this format. That's a very good point, and she has it right on face. So,
I played a all-death package, or a death throw package with her that was pumping up to 20 damage throws on turn 2.
Yeah,
She is aggressive as they come, and it doesn't matter if you check poorly, because you're going to blow up your entire board anyway for that 3 damage, both positively and negatively. She also gets access to Knott's Flask, so if she finds 2 of those, plus herself, I know I played against Pony with that throw deck, and 4 of his moves dealt 1 damage because of Knott's Flask and Hanji.
Yeah, that is so good. Having Knott's Flask mixed with the -3 damage on face, and the -3 damage is also rebuilding them foundations, right? So you're not even going negative too much, and then you can still just crack them back extremely easily by building another one in your turn.
Yes, absolutely. She gets to be both an extremely aggressive character when she needs to be, but if she checks poorly and decides to back off, she can hold your opponent off maybe an extra turn, even though you are a 7-hander aggro character. She has a lot of options to survive still.
Yeah, for sure. We hate blocking in this format. And speaking of hating blocking, we got Reiner, the Armored Titan advancing. Speak to this one.
So I picked him he is what I think is a better Ghidorah, where he can end the game and you still get that pseudo playstyle of I don't have to block this move because I'm going to transform.
Yeah, for sure. We don't have 17 health twice. We actually have 40 health total.
Yes, you have 40 health total. You've got the Chaos symbol, which gives you wound restore if you want to play into that I'm going to survive as long as possible. You get the ability to just play like Endeavor. He's like Endeavor and Ghidorah
had a
got the chaos symbol and had a
horrible
weird baby.
child. Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, the chaos symbol also has City Rampage, so he gets to play the oops all four checks style deck.
Yeah, for sure.
Very,
this
very
guy
well.
can play so many different ways. We can even play like the big ones, right? We could play the 7-8 diffs in this guy. We can play Godzilla's oops all 5 diffs plus determined advance. Or like you said, we can play this weird 4 diff wound restore package that's going to hit you for 13 out of nowhere. So yeah, no, a lot of stuff going on. A lot of mill effects. He gets to play like all the cool ones, right? Because we want the backups, we want the assets, we want the action. So we get to play every single cool card in our deck. And again, he's just got 40 life, actually. Like, you can't, like, overextending into this guy feels horrible. And then even on his flip side, we see this -5 damage to your rival's first move. So even if we don't find lethal on this half, that's, like, they're down just an attack, right?
Oh, absolutely. Unless they have, like, some crazy pump that they get to use once, and then, cool, I'll block this one move, and then I'll tank two.
Yeah, absolutely.
He also gets to, in my opinion, gets to be the best user of Grisha's Attack Titan, because it's just secretly 6 more health.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. You have to attack Grisha's when this guy plays it, for sure. Unless you want to just get
one more damage, or it's the secret attack.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
No, you're not allowed to have that. This is how I die.
Absolutely. And then we make it to somebody that actually is trying to block in this format, Izuku Midoriya, the Dark Deku himself. We've seen a lot of this guy, a lot of talk in the Discord, so he's certainly going to be like a popular pick, right? Like, he is definitely going to be one of the most registered decks. He's got that main character syndrome. But how do you feel about this guy's, like, meta relevance?
So, I think right now, Deku 6, Dark Deku, whatever you want to call him, I think is personally one of the best defensive life characters we have in the game.
For sure. -3 speed on everything.
He has the -3 speed, he's got Defiant Stance, he can flip and turn anything into a flash move if he so be it. He has put damage to 1 on face for 1 card in my hand. This guy has every answer to every aggro character that you could think of.
Completely agree. Both of his sides are answering 2 different things, right? He's got the damage reduction, the set to 1 on his front side, and then on the flip side, he's got your move has flash. You're not going to get an enhanced step, which is extremely relevant. And it's very matchup dependent, which is cool, right? He can decide if he's going to be on this side or that side throughout most of the game.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue with him, and I think what a lot of people are going to fall into the trap to, is just they don't have the experience with him. They're going to play him because he's Deku. He's one of the only good Dekus left in the format. And they're going to build to 20, and some deadlock is going to get them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, most definitely. Like, he struggles just like any life deck, right? Is like in the early game when he when he only gets like a 3 or 4 build, like you're going to feel like you're like the weakest thing on the planet.
100%.
But if you get set up and like can avoid like those deadlock games, turning your entire board sideways and sending like this 70 for 70 and like having an answer to their answer is like a really solid game plan for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he also gets incredible display, so he has his own way to try and interact back against any resets.
Exactly, yeah. Like, just on life, we get like those. If you want to play on good, we get like Evil versus Good and Dr. Ichigaki. Tons of different ways to like cancel whatever they're trying to do against your move, and then obviously just like playing a flash attack can avoid an entire enhanced step, which is like really good.
He has so many different builds I've seen with him too, being the only 5 symbol character, and attuned cards are only getting added more to him.
Yeah, exactly. We have so many symbols and so many attuned cards to be played.
Oh yeah, I've seen everything from Tasty Rift to I'm going to stack 15 momentum and try to play this move with EX.
Fajin Flurry, yeah, exactly.
I have seen so many things with this guy.
Somebody that's not trying to play the game for too long with you, or at all, Bertolt Colossus Titan advancing. Everybody knows about this guy, right?
Everybody knows what Bert 2 does. Everybody... When he got revealed, it was the day 0 meme of oops, all 3 diffs. Yeah. Why is this allowed? I do think he's a menace. Don't get it confused. I don't think he's unbeatable. I think you just have to play the game slower. And we're in a very fast format where people are still dying on turn 3, still dying on turn 2, depending on the builds. And people don't know how to take a turn off and go, maybe I should just build to 8. Maybe I should just build to 9. Force him to be the one that pushes the button. Maybe I get a turn and I can kill him.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. I think people are like, they're playing this matchup, and like when you first play into it, it feels like unwinnable, right? Like you know you're on a clock. You see him building to 7. You see him building, like he has Colossus SWAT. So even when this guy builds the 7, you're like, oh my god, if he draws a single SWAT, I just die still. So like it feels like impossible. But I do feel that there's actually some really good gameplay on both sides, right? He seems like super easy. It seems like he's just a 5-hander. He's building a 9. He's killing you, but he's like making a lot of decisions in those first turns because we are still a 5-hander, right? So we can brick on the draw. We can draw dead a little bit. If we get flooded with attacks early, that's like very bad for us. And then you can also just kind of like punk him early because as long as you don't get there for him, right? As long as you're not the one building a 9, then you're in a pretty good position until he reaches that point.
Oh, absolutely. It's like you said, he's a 5-hander. They do brick.
Yeah,
5-handers brick the most out of anything in our game. They draw 4 attacks on turn 2. What are they going to do to you? They've only built 3 foundations.
Yeah, they'll just build the 8 forever and just freaking punk them.
Yeah, and they're playing with a 6 diff in their deck now, too, with Colossus SWAT. Like,
yeah.
They check poorly once on their front side. Early on, Bert can just roll over and die.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And like I've even had turns like I've tested Bert like both like against it and like as it just to see like the lines. And I've had turns where I've been flipped, but I'm only at 3 foundations and the single attack I drew was SWAT. So it's like, okay, now I don't even want to play this because what if I check a 3, I board out and still don't draw a move, then I'm just like super far behind. So yeah,
and I think a lot of people forget that he needs to discard 2 of the same. If he doesn't hit 2 of the same, that -2 damage is not going to get him.
Yeah, no, like one of our team members is playing like a little bit more of like a better version, right? I would say like he has more options in his deck, but with more options comes the fact that you could just brick on that side of things as well and draw into like your action and like your 1 of action, right? Like you could easily draw into your 1 of action and not have the damage reduction. So like, there's like a real cost to deck building with this guy as well. It's a very, very good bring up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
His front side is like really good. He's going to filter his entire hand, but it's not unwinnable. Size variance here. We're going to go from a Titan to your number 1 pick being Mimic. This guy has just been an absolute monster these last couple weeks. So let's talk about this guy. Yeah.
So Mimic, when he first got shown, nobody was talking about this guy. You had some people playing him. You had people doing shenanigans, being able to tutor their breaker blocks. And he was pretty mediocre. Like, he was very middle of the ground. He might kill you. You might kill him on accident. The last, I want to say, 2 or 3 sets that we've gotten has put this guy on top of the world, and he was an accident. He's accidentally good now. Yeah. Because assets have become so good. We've gotten Gold Tips Imperial, which builds in on block. We got Soup, which just builds for playing it. We got the one attuned card that says, I can build an asset from my stage and then ready one. He's gotten little bits of support all the way through, and he's had the Chaos symbol, which has not slowed down on gas for quite a while. Yeah. Like, the Chaos and Death symbols are the strongest symbols in the game, at least personally. And he also has access to City Rampage. So he does not care. He gets to cheat checks. He uses assets like Foundations. He gets damage on every single one of his moves. This guy has everything going for him. He's my number 1 pick. He also just won Nationals in Oceanic. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to show up in EU.
Double finals, too, right? Like the same deck list, same everything. Like, that's absolutely insane.
I think he also topped in, or he won the community event, the recent one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Mimic has been absolutely shredding the competitive scene. So many things, like you said, like it's been like definitely like a slow trickle, but like I feel AOT 2 is like actually like really what set him apart. I think one like single piece that I think is like the MVP of this deck is Soup. because this
Oh,
is a
100%.
foundation that builds itself for him, right? Like, he plays this as his first form, builds it down, and every single copy of Soup is just like, I'm gonna, my initial build turn is gonna be that much more egregious, right? Like, now I have one thing to pass my next check. Oh, I have 2 Soups, and I have 2 things to pass my next check. Like, card is absolutely insane. Determined Advance. He gets to just pick up Determined Advance. Y'all are worried about Godzilla with this card. How about a character that can just pick it up every turn if he wants to?
Yeah, I mean, he was doing it with Kraken. He has access to Vast Chimera Kraken. He has Determined Advance. He has Swarmed by Titans. He gets Gigantification Swing. He gets to be the most aggressive and egregious character in the format. This is why I like Ymir, being able to just build the best foundation out of my hand.
Yeah,
this guy gets to do it with Soup,
yeah,
and it's not limited once per turn.
Yeah, exactly. That's not once per turn. There's literally no deck building costs for him to 4x vertical maneuvering equipment. That's like the one thing we've seen holding that card back, right? Is like, oh, I don't want that many assets in my deck. So, like, what's the ratio of, like, I want to find this, but I also don't want a brick? He does not care how many of those he has because they all commit and give damage.
Yeah, it's so much damage. He has so much speed. This guy, he is going to be a menace. And you're going to have a lot of people. It's going to feel 50-50 in U.S. Nationals because you're going to have people that net deck and don't know how to play the deck.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a very mixed opinion on him from what the U.S., because we are such a larger region that play the game.
Yeah.
We're going to have a completely different data perspective of Mimic.
Yeah, no,
it's going to be like Overhaul
agree.
and Mirio last year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. But yeah, overall, I think this is a really solid list. I think, yeah, no, like Death, like it shows everything in the format, right? We got like the Death Casino, we got like the Chaos decks, and then we got things that are like Bertolt and Reiner that are just trying to like play as many attacks against you as they can. And then Midoriya just has main character syndrome, so that guy's just gonna be there no matter what. But let's rip right into what the homie Gizmo is playing. As soon as we... Yep, there we go. We found it, guys. We did it, chat. We are playing Paul Phoenix. Yeah, look at him. He already has a character card. So let's talk about like your what brought you here, right? Like I know as one of your main testing partners, I know we were on Ymir for a little while. That one kind of fell out of favor for you, but you've definitely like as soon as you found Paul, it felt like you were like really, really just sold on this guy. So I know that you're a Sato player. Does that have something to do with it?
Yeah, Sato 1 was one of my favorite characters. He is my version of All Might 3 for you.
Hell yeah.
Where I could pick up that character and play him any day of the week and have a ton of fun. He gets to draw so many cards, and everything had damage. I loved it. Paul gave me a lot of similar vibes. Being a stun character, I got to turn anything into indiscriminate shock at my desire or choice. And that discard 1 is not a real cost. He showed up at the perfect time when Feral Shriek showed up and Wish Heart showed up.
Yeah,
and we already had Steel Muscle Explosion.
Yeah, no, we have so many cards that discard for value.
I essentially, what I felt like I found was my version of Pony. I found a 6-carder version of discard draw 1, and I get a bonus effect. And
yeah, for
stun,
sure.
I don't do well interacting with the board. I don't know how, as far as like, that's the biggest problem here. Sometimes I misplay it. It's not a problem if it's sideways.
You're not wrong, yeah. And people like aren't really ready for that in the format, right? There's not that much stun hate in general, and there's not that much being run either. Like your best option is like, you know, like the surprise skills that are being run for like Kraken. But I don't think we're prepared. Like the format's just not prepared for your entire board to go sideways, as you put it.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we also got Attack Titan's Haymaker in the format. We got a different version of Back Alley Haymaker.
Yeah, this guy's stun 4 in your deck. A stun 4 poke seems pretty fair to me.
It's a stun 4 that rebuilds me 1. Like,
yeah, and then like, gives all your moves damage, and a character that's like trying to give them damage once per turn. Now, like, all of your moves are like threatening, which is absolutely insane. A lot of symbol choices though, and again, this is something that I've tested with you, and we've tested like almost every symbol, in fact, on this character. Which one are we leaning towards? Are we leaning towards like Funny Punch? You know, we're gonna try to focus attack somebody. What's going on there?
Yeah, I ended up landing on all. It was very close between all and order. Order had a little bit extra defense that I was enjoying, like can't escape me to lock my opponent out of drawing cards. Another deadlock threat, just being like, well, if you go to deadlock and I stun 6, here's 6 speed. Can you deal with that?
Yeah.
But it felt one turn too slow. And I didn't have all as many options as far as my attacks were concerned. Like, we lose Valiant Assault on order. And I lose a little bit of draw. Like, we don't get to keep Chivalrous, which kind of sucked. And I think there was one other card that I was enjoying, Split Body Control, as my version of being able to interact with the board a little bit better. But I also ended up really enjoying just the playstyle of all. And it had so many draw effects. Like, because Paul's going to dump his whole hand. We're going to get rid of our entire hand.
Yeah, for sure. And like, you also still have like a ton of relevant answers, right? Like we were talking about this before we clicked the record button, of like your hacker extraordinaires to like stop the mimics, or at least like try to like fend off the bleeding there. So yeah, no, all has a lot of answers, a lot of good stuff going on, and just like hits the hardest, right? Like your attack can be for 1,000,000. It's so crazy.
Being a funny punch style deck too, you get to play with your once per turn very wishy-washy.
Oh, for sure,
you could
because
funny
like
punch.
focused attack is already like a once per turn twice, right? And also like one of the most relevant deadlock threats in the game. If your opponent goes to deadlock, your main hitter is now, committing more of their stage and getting more damage.
Oh, 100%. And you're just getting to go double jumbo into funny punch. Here's an 8 mid for 5 that's going to give itself 9 more damage. Like, you got to interact with this one now before I play something else that's going to be presented with Paul's once per turn.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think this is a really, really solid pick. You did really well with Sato. Like, you've been on so many like win and ins where you just like kind of like ran into some like bad luck back then. I think you're gonna absolutely kill it with Paul in at Nats. We've tested this a lot. You've tested into most of the format. We're dodging Mimic. I believe in you.
Yep, we're just going to dodge every Mimic.
Hell yeah.
We're going to get the top cuts and then run into Mimic. That's what's going to happen.
That's fine, right? We've already made it. As long as these are top 8 match, we're in, bro. It's over. It's done. We don't have to care about that game. But yeah, so yeah, this is his deck that he's taking to Nats. Don't you see the jersey? You see the jersey he's wearing? If you see any of the homies, they're all super chill. They're all down to talk to everybody. We have 2 more questions for Gizmo before we let him off the screen. 1, what is your favorite card in all of UniVersus? Retro, whatever, any format. What's your favorite card?
As of right now, it has got to be Big Fist Bash. I think it being a Breaker 3 just on face is so strong in the format.
Some of the strongest
I am mostly a standard player, so this card does so much work. It gets to pick up another mid if we're on that package. It gets to make itself a 3-diff if we need it to be. The card has saved games for me, just being able to go Breaker 3 on their 3rd move, going, you can no longer kill me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, the Breaker 3 always is like, comes out of nowhere, right? Because you always wait until they've overcommitted a little bit, but you can still block, and then just completely into their turn. And then offensively, like, we just pick up focus attack, right? Like, that's insane.
100%, yeah. You get to pick up focus attack, you get to go pick up Haymaker if you want to, you get to go pick up Valiant Assault. There are so many different options you have with Big Fist Bash.
Yeah, no, that's a solid pick. That's a solid standard pick. And then the last question: ban a single card in the format today. If you're heading into Nationals, you want a card dead. What is it?
City Rampage, 100%. I think the card is actually worse than its counterpart, Combined Firepower. I have seen games where my opponent has built 3 foundations, played a City Rampage, and never failed to check.
Yeah, just absolutely like, checked 7s and killed you. Yeah.
Yes. There's nothing you can do on certain symbols against City Rampage decks other than pray.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That one can feel like just so bad because like you get to play your 4 foundations past and then maybe you die, right? Like,
you just die, and it's like, cool. I'm glad you played the blue card.
Yeah, no.
God forbid they play two of them.
Yeah, no, and I've seen it so many times, especially Mimic. I've seen so many Mimics resolve two of those. Yeah, no, that's a fair pick. I love it. But yeah, man, good luck at Nats. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for the whole team.
Appreciate it.
And we will catch you next time.
Okay.